Hello, amazing people. Welcome back to another episode on the Rich Opinions podcast, where we bring you tech professionals who share their experiences, their perspectives, and the challenges they've been through in um, building the softwares that we use, right? Today, I have here with me one of the people that make sure that the products, the softwares that I use are bug free and work smoothly. So, without talking so much, let me say, yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Ikenna. Give us a little introduction.
Okay, so my name is Ikenna, and I'm a QA engineer. Okay, I will call myself a product test engineer, where I ensure, not ensure actually, but I try to make sure that the product is safer for us to use. That's the right word. Our product we use is safe for the end users and our customers to leverage on. So basically, that is what I do.
Okay. Okay. So, superhero. What make sure that the applications are not just bug free, they are safe as well. Okay. So, let's start with the basics for our listeners that might not be familiar with your role as a QA engineer. What exactly does the QA engineer do, and why is it an essential part of the software development lifecycle?
Okay, so for I would say we test our products as a QA engineer, as I will call it QA engineer, but I prefer to call it as a tester.
Okay.
What I do is I or we as testers, what we do is that we help project managers, we help business owners, we help developers to decide whether the product which they had in mind is what is actually produced for them. We test because we want to have a comprehensive understanding of the product which we are testing and which people would use or leverage on. We test because it is a responsible thing to do. I mean, you need to test your product if you want people to utilize it well, and it's going out to people, you need to test because it's a responsible thing.
Mm.
And finally, we also test, or what we do is we test because we build trust. And why will I say we build trust? Nobody would want to use an application that is always having bugs in it.
Yeah.
When you use a bank application that always has bugs in it, one, either you would lose value for the bank, you would lose trust for the bank, you wouldn't want to even bank with them anymore.
Yeah.
So what we do is that we try to build that bridge of trust between our end users and our organization or our firm. So what we do is we test in order that the trust between these two people work in relations, that the users can trust us enough to use our application, and we on our own side can be able to test it well, such that our applications are bug free.
I see. So that's to say testing is a key driver of product quality.
Of
I
course.
think that but as somebody that's a computer engineer, and I remember very vividly in my software engineering class being told that the software engineering life cycle or software development life cycle has testing in it, but then it's almost like it's just at one part of it, right? Would you say that is the situation on the ground, that we have to build the product before we test it and then roll out?
So that has been, there are different methodologies where people use the SDLC, the waterfall, where you go through and then testing goes to the last. But with what is evolving now, would have to always use the shift left approach. What I mean is, testing does not start at the end or when the product is finally designed or
Mm.
developed. Testing on its own is when we say testing, we are not testing a piece of code. We are testing your ideas. We are testing your business requirement document. We are testing your FSs. We are testing everything that has to do from the planning stage of your ideas down to the implementation. down to the holistic view of it. So if I'm to wait until you're done before I start testing, there'll be questions, there'll be
Regards.
issues, there'll be things that will come up, and that will cost us more.
Okay.
So it's better I find the problems in the early stage of the design, which is being fixed, than waiting for it to get to its completion before we start the testing. So you could see that testing has a lot of role to play, and it mustn't start at the end. So whoever starts testing at the end has lost the grip of it. Because even before we even start the application or designs, we need to understand what it does.
Right.
Question becomes, are we building the right application? That's what testing asks. So one of the questions we ask in the course of testing is, are we building the right application? Are we building the application right? These are two different questions. So these are what influences our method of testing. So in other words, for us to get better, we don't start testing at the end.
The
Testing starts from the beginning of the idea conception. So we talk about it in a review meeting. Okay, this is an idea I want to build. We want to build this feature. And then we start testing, okay, what are the requirements? How do we go about it? All these things, that is where testing begins.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think you've already jumped into a question that I was going to ask. That if there are some insights or special strategies that you use personally in testing your products or to enhance features for that matter.
For us, if you said special strategy, or what I would say is we don't have to have a confined way of doing a thing,
Things. Yeah.
because I wouldn't also want to box people, or I would not tell people a confined way of using my application. So the general thing is that I need to test as much as I can. And one of the principles of testing is that testing is inexhaustible. You can never exhaust testing. You can have different forms of it, but you can never exhaust. And the question becomes, what is even testing? Testing is the experiential, experiencing, using of the application. Just use it as much as you can in
Okay.
different ways to ensure that the application, or to check and help decide, or also let people know the status of the application before it's released. So the ways of testing that you must pay attention. You need to be attentive. You need to have critical insight on how to. So the question becomes, how do you pay attention if you don't know how your thing works? So everything boils down again that the strategy is that you must know what the thing you're supposed to build does. And that influences what you need to do and how you go about your testing.
Okay. So are there any special tools or methodologies, softwares that you use? I'd like to point out.
There are softwares that are used in testing depending on what you want to use them to. In as much as we have softwares for testing, it's also important to know when to using
Use
them.
them. Okay.
You know, people have, oh, there are many softwares we can use this. The question becomes, do you need them now?
Yeah.
When do we do it? So I think we should talk more about when do we need to even use the software? Because I mean, now we have AI, people just copy things and put. But
Put yeah.
the question is, do we need them now? Or at what point do we need those softwares? All right. So there are softwares, of course, there are softwares, there are frameworks for those who are doing automation. There are frameworks for automation. There are softwares that also helps to enhance. For instance, in the course of that, you have some software that will helps in project management, like Jira,
Yeah.
where you can report your bugs. You can look at the sprints, follow up the boards, and look at what's happening per board and per sprint, and then you can report your bugs there or create issues there. Then we have, probably, of course, some people even use Excel to create test cases. Some use Cucumber Studio to also create that test cases. Some even use test rays to prepare cases and the rest of them.
Okay.
So these are handy things we need to know. But then there are core things and the fundamentals of testing that you need to know before the usage of these
With
tools.
these tools.
Yes.
Okay. 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 That's great. It looks like testing is really the backbone that supports like product quality, and you need like a lot of kind of experience to be able to know when and how to use some of these applications to solve your problems. But then again, you also don't work in isolation, you work in teams. How do you ensure smooth collaboration with all these teams so that they understand they need to either go back to the drawing board or enhance something that they are working on?
Okay. So you made mention earlier about testing from the end.
Yeah.
If you bring me at the end of the matter, it means that my feedback becomes little or has impact to you. But if you bring me from the beginning of the matter, it means that we are in this together as a
Together.
team.
Okay.
So when you talk about review sections, or we sit down to talk about the ideas, the PM sit with me and I sit with them and we have developers around us. We all sit in the table and we are building a particular feature for an application. Then we begin to ask questions. So for what reason are we building this application? Who are our audiences? What and what goes into it? How do you go about it? What is the risk factor? Do you consider this part? What happens? What happens here? Okay, what is the risk involved in doing this way? There are many features that people build, and then at the end, is either the feature is not needed at that time.
Okay.
So we also have times when a feature is needed and times that is not needed. There are some kind of features that may not work well for some of us here, and there's some features that will work well for some people. So all these things, yes, you have the ideas, yes, you're the PMs, yes, you do the business requirement. But if we don't sit down to look at it from the holistic standpoint, we cannot have that synergy. So these sections are important. The review sections, the sprint planning, the estimation moments, we all sit down to have these meetings. And that hastens our collaborations. That helps in the synergy amongst the team.
Okay. Okay. So for you, don't bring me at the if you bring me at the end of the testing, you've lost me because I'm
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
I
Because
become of little or no use to you.
absolutely. You,
Okay.
you, you know what the reason is, if you bring me at the end, there are some issues or there are some defects or bugs I will find or risks I will find that will be more costlier. The reason why testing should never be brought at the end, because it's more expensive to fix an issue from the back.
Okay.
So if, for instance, an issue is being seen in the early stage, it's easier and less expensive to
It's
correct it.
correct. Yeah.
And probably we could extend the delivery time, but it can be corrected.
Right.
But here is the case when you're done with the app and I am testing, and now I have found a bug that is very, very crucial that we would have caught in the early stage. It will take you one, the delivery time, it will take you to extra pay. So if you're hiring me for a month as an engineer and I'm done with deliverables, and then a bug is found, you'd have to pay the extra
True.
months I have to stay to work with you.
True.
So it's more expensive to deal with bugs from the
From
end
the
view
end.
than from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of any of such challenge, or have you faced a certain peculiar challenge like that in your line of work or experience?
Um let me put it this way.
Okay.
I have been in the industry for a while, and of course I've been in different sectors as well, and we've come to see that happen where we're done with this test it. You take up an app, you're testing few things, you're asking questions. For instance, you're testing an application that has to do with financing, and then there's some group of people that should not have access. For instance, there's what called a PND, post no debit.
Okay.
Right? Post no debit in banks is that you can put in money in your account, but you can't withdraw money because of some reasons, right?
Okay.
And these set of people, like say, they are using your application. You have a financial application where they use, they can post in money, but for you to be able to withdraw the money, you have to do your KYC,
Right.
which is near customer, right?
Yeah.
Now, this sort of people, they do the money, they deposit the money into your financial wallet or whatever, and they don't have the ability to take the money away or to withdraw the money. Now, we don't bring the testing part. You do the application up to the last part of it. And now the question becomes the KYC function is not working, or it's too complicated for them to even use.
Um,
So now you realize that people are putting their money into the wallet, but they can't withdraw.
right.
Now it's going to cost us a lot of time. Now you have all this. There was no proper test plan or to have this issue done in the beginning, and then you get to the end, it's been done, and then we begin asking questions. Where's the Figma file for this particular UI? How was this thing designed? What happens when this happens? And then some of those questions, as a PM, of course, you would never know everything.
Yeah. True.
So probably in the course of designing this feature, you forgot some things that should have been there. And then at the end of it, when it's come to them saying we are asking those questions, you would realize that it's going to take us time to go check. Now, would you keep a customer waiting whilst
On
his
those
money is with
products.
you
Yeah.
that can actually has all the documents to do the KYC because you missed few features that would have been caught if we had a proper plan on that?
Yeah. It
Yes,
becomes a big problem.
absolutely. So my money is with you. I have all it takes to take my money from you, and you're telling me I have to wait for extra sprints before you're able to fix this issue.
Yeah, true. So testing really gives it helps to make better design decisions. More like, do you collaborate more with maybe UI UX engineers than even the developers in this case?
I won't say we collaborate more.
Mm,
It's not about being more. We all the word is collaboration.
yeah,
We all have to
work together.
we have a role to play in making this a success. Now, quality is not just for me.
Yeah,
We all have an assignment to have make the product quality. So yours is to make the product quality. The UI UX does its own path. The developers and PMs. What we do is we come together in synergy to understand UI UX. Why is this color being chosen?
yeah,
Does the company color okay? So why
okay,
is the button here not matching with this button here? It's a collaboration. We talk about it, you make the changes. Okay, we go to developers. Okay, you're done with this. Okay, but based on the UI UX, your button color is a slightly different from this. Can you see that? So we are collaborating with them. It's not just only specific to a particular team, but we collaborate with all the teams to ensure that things are done rightfully and done well.
okay.
Yeah.
That's deep. That's awesome. Because I always looked at um testing as probably working with just the developers, but it looks
No,
like it has to it because it drives the product's quality. You need to
absolutely.
be with
Touch
every.
base. Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. But let's get into your personal career. How did it begin for you? Is there some kind of course? Is there some kind of
Um.
roadmap to
Okay. So
becoming a QA engineer?
I actually started as a developer.
Oh,
It's
okay.
funny to know that. Apparently, I studied IT in school, information technology,
Yeah.
and I started as a developer. And then developers, you're done with working and stuff, and then your app is working. You want to show people that it's working, and at the end, you realize that there are certain things you don't pay attention
Attention.
to. I sat down. I asked myself, what good is an app when people don't use it? That's the problem.
Yeah.
What good is a song when people don't listen to
Listen
it?
to it.
What good is my app if people don't use it? And I realized that there are some things I didn't pay attention to because from where I stand is all good. From where they stand, there are things missing.
Listen.
So I began to search for that and I realized that I have passion to finding what is missing.
Instead of just like being the one that
Nah,
build.
building is not enough. Building is great, but that's not enough. So I began looking for what is missing because I can build what I want to build, but if people don't use what I've built, I have wasted my time. So I started going to trying to know what is left outside that. And I stumbled. I think I stumbled upon QA. It wasn't something I didn't intentionally want to be a tester.
Mm.
I just stumbled on it, like, okay, let me just try this. And I started reading about it. And then I got a job. I saw a software tester job. I've never been one before. I applied. Or my CVC development. And why even? Just want to try it. I want to understand because I've read about it. So what at all is this testing? I got in there and I saw people doing it. And good enough, I have knowledge in development. So I
Yeah.
understood more how to test. So I began to take myself, it was difficult detaching yourself from something you
From
do.
you do.
So I began to detach myself a little from development, and then I began to see from the perspective of the end user. So I began going into product more than development. So I could see, okay, this UI UX, this flow is not really a good thing from my perspective as a user. So how would a user see this? Let me give an instance. So for instance, you open an app, you open an MTN app, and you see a 30 logo. It's a very minor thing to do. It's a minor.
Yeah.
You can just change the logo and put MTN. It's minor, but it's very risky.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
I began to see things from different. Oh, for as developers, oh, it's just change the logo and then find the path through there.
It's not a big
It's good.
issue. Yeah.
But then to the end user, that thing could be small to the developer, but it's a very big risk issue to the end user. If
Definitely.
I open MTN app and I see Airtel to go or I see Vodafone or Telecel, I'll be why have they hacked MTN? Is there something wrong now?
Mm.
What's so these are questions that comes to the perspective of the user
With the
that
user.
you may never pay attention to.
Yeah. True.
You know. So that's what actually ignited me to go into that to see reasons why users can be able to trust what I do because I have built a couple of things and nobody was using it. I realized that it wasn't enough to build.
Mhm.
But it's one thing to build, it's one thing for people to
To
use
use what
that
you built. Yeah.
which you've built. So that's what enhanced my quest for QA or for testing. And here I am gradually I began going the career and we've been there for a while
Yeah.
now.
It's been an awesome journey for you.
It's been a sweet bitter experience.
Mm.
Coming into a new space of what you don't know fully, trying to learn, and you having to be a developer understands the vendetta between the developers and the testers. There's always this feud among
Yeah,
them.
yeah. So, but how do you ensure that clear communication so that
Yes,
it's not like an us versus them situation when you have to report like a bug or something?
yes. So I think there's a place we call empathy
Right.
when you work with people. Because again I have this background of both. It will be wickedness on your part to see one who has worked all night to fix a particular thing or meet up a deadline and he has bugs on it and then you confront him, hey, this code bugs is inside and like, oh, I found this. Courtesy demands that you have a proper way of communicating.
Communicating.
Oh,
True.
I understand that this has been a very tough one. You've worked all night, but I think if you look at it from this perspective, we found these bugs, and these are the criticals, and these are the severities. Can we look at it, and then I will talk to the PM to look at the deliveries. You have empathy. You're delivering your job as well as communicating effectively. I think most of the problems that comes in between these two people is with regards to communication. We've not learned enough how to communicate. I have seen really great engineers that have very poor communication skills.
Right.
I've seen really great people that have very poor social skills. They call them soft skills, but I call them social skills. For instance, I cannot communicate with you. You can't even lead a team, but you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
Your teammates avoid you because you're always troublist or you always have you're problematic, but you're good at your stuff. So even if you're good, remember you work with people. So you must learn how to
Also,
communicate with them. And that is one thing. The empathy comes there. Yes, you've done your work. Yes, there are bugs on it, but you will be able to accept it when I communicate right with you.
true.
So the tone at which I talk to you matters as well. When I'm tired and you talk to me in a way, I have every right to respond to you back the way you spoke. But when I'm tired and you have a soft way of communicating, okay, yes, you've done this. I think if you look at it from this standpoint, these are the bugs you find, these are the steps to reproduce them, and for evidence, these are screenshots or these are videos. You can watch and then you can, in most cases, we can even go as far as debugging the code and get you where the issues are coming from. You can
Yeah.
get you a log to see that, okay, maybe you didn't call a particular API endpoint well, or something has happened because of the testing, or you forgot to put a key in the API.
Somewhere.
That way, it's much easier for you to even say, oh, thank you, I've seen where the issue is, and then you quickly fix it.
Yeah. Communication is
It's
beautiful.
very,
So,
very important.
yeah, I remember the question I asked the first time I was at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
speeches
yeah.
because now there's like so many tools, so many like available tutorials for free online. It's almost like everybody's transitioning, pivoting into tech, but they forget these social skills or soft skills.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, it's almost like it's a big part of tech because you don't work in isolation, you work with people. So
Indeed.
social skills are. How do you, for people that are jumping into tech, for people that are pivoting, what is your advice to them, especially if they want to become like a QA engineer? It, how do they acquire these social skills, or how do they,
Okay. I will share something with you. I had I'm on LinkedIn and I post few things and then I had this young man hit me up. Hi, Ikenna. I'm like, hi. So I saw your post and I like the way you wrote. I'm like, thank you so much. He says, I want you to mentor me. And I'm like, okay, so when you say mentor, what do you mean? He said, oh, I want to learn how to do this. I said, okay. Then I started asking questions. I got to know him, and then I asked him, where do you work? He told me he works here. I said, okay, how long? He said, he just started 2 weeks ago. Good stuff. Then I said, is there a problem there? He said, yes. Then he got here, and the way things are being done, he doesn't like it. The way they're doing here, they're doing this thing here. He has told them they don't want to listen. He has told this guy, so he spoke to me, and I, okay, that's fine, that's fine. And I told him, young man, I've been doing this for quite a long time, and I've been naive before coming to a place wanting to change things.
Everything, yeah.
But the first thing you do when you come into a new place or come into a new season or a new sector or something, you go in there listening. Listen to the culture,
Mm.
listen to the people, listen to what happens. You cannot effect a change, you cannot become better until you listen to how they do things. If you must change a thing, you must listen to the previous things. You must understand the history behind it.
The reason why it's
And
being
then the
done that
reason why
way.
things are done the way, and then you look at how you can shape it to become better. I want to go into Kiwi. Listen to what Kiwi is.
All right.
When you come into Kiwi, what do you want to change? Listen. There's everybody has a culture. Listen to how things are being done. That would help you make changes in communication as well. You don't know how someone you come into a particular company behaves. Listen, watch how the person communicates first. Then you know how best to follow through.
Yeah.
You see, so these are things. Listening is very important. I mean, when I say listen, I don't mean to just put your ears, but I know
Just
observe what is going
things.
on.
Yeah.
Get to understand the people. Get to understand the culture that governs a particular sect, so that when you begin to communicate, you know how best to communicate to the people, to the team as a whole, and then you can now make your changes. And I'm talking to you now. The young man is happy. Initially, he was very saddened, but when
Yeah.
he listened to them, he knew reasons why these things were done, and then he had to adjust for a while. Now the changes are being implemented gradually because he has listened to the culture.
Okay. Okay. So it's important to get people that are ahead in this space. Mentorship. It seems like it's key in this space if you want to learn obviously from people, and if you want to enter a space, you need somebody that is already there to sort of guide you, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I I believe these Japanese proverbs. I don't know who was the Japanese proverb. It says, a day with a diligent mentor is more than 10,000 years of research.
Mm.
So it means that if you have a mentor who is great and has been there, what took him 8 years to do could take you lesser,
Mm.
because he has been there and he knows how. And I'll give you an instance. I have two young people under me where I work currently, like directly under me. I have to, but these ones are directly under me, and they're very young people. What took me years to get, I have been able to impact some of them to them earlier than they expect.
Mm.
And I'm so proud of them because they can go represent me in some meetings, because I know that they're able to think and do things way, way, way better
Than you were when you were at that
at that
level.
time.
Okay.
So they're able to hold on meetings when I'm not available, and they give me responses, and I'm satisfied because I know if I were there, I would have done something similar.
Sure.
So the mentorship makes you to adopt something like your mentor until you get to a place where you now become your original.
Right.
So they get to know what I was saying in the meeting when I'm there, until they get to a point where they can now say what they know how to say, because I have taught them how to say it.
Yes. And everyone.
So mentorship really helps, and I will actually encourage people to have mentors. I have one. I've listened to, he's not a direct mentor, but I
Yeah.
listen to people, and I get, to know what to do and how to go about it. I have a mentor by somebody I've listened to. I have worked as a junior engineer. I've worked as a junior software engineer or tester, and I've seen people go and transition into that, and it has helped me and it has built me as well.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. Before we wrap up quickly, I want to, like you made mention of when we are mentioning the tools, AI in the mix. What do you think the future of QA is? as AI is causing a lot of changes in every industry.
The future of QA is still guaranteed. AI is not causing anything. AI is doing what it knows how to do best.
Yeah,
It's not our first time. The question becomes who tests the AI?
right.
AI is
He
there, but we need to actually test the
tested
AI.
AI as well.
There are so many abnormalities in the AIs because if you think AI will take the job of a tester, the question becomes who validates the AI to be live.
Right.
So AI is not going to take our jobs, but it could help enhance it if you know how best
To use it.
to use it. But then you must know the foundations because if you don't understand the foundations, AI is something in most cases what we use. Let's say writing test cases, you get in on ChatGPT and get a test case. If you don't understand originally what test cases are and how they are being done, you only consume what is given without an understanding of what is
Standing.
given. So instead of enhancing you at that point, is now killing you
True.
because now you're based on what he's saying or the AI is saying, but you don't understand really what you want.
Right.
Yeah,
So the future of QA is guaranteed. Just learn
absolutely.
how to use your tools and AI properly, and you're fine.
Yes.
Before we go, okay, just give us your socials if anybody wants to reach out, if anybody wants
Um,
to speak to.
Probably could put it at the end of
Okay,
the
okay,
videos. That would be
yes, okay.
helpful.
I'll put the links to his LinkedIn, and then you guys can reach out to him if you need any more information.
Fine.
He's the first time I heard him speak about QA, it was amazing, and like he's already given us so much nuggets about using QA and testing to make better design decisions,
Yeah.
development decisions. You know, just reach out to him. He's a very nice person. He speak to you, and like people that are trying to enter and pivot into tech, like he said, mentorship is almost like the ultimate thing. Aside learning your tools and the building things, you need somebody to sort of direct you in this space. So, any final words before we go?
I think we should let's be our best selves, and for those who want to go into tech, please do a research on what you want to do, and it is not as easy as what we're saying it is, but if you are determined, you get there. And again, like I always said, mentorship is important. Try to get a mentor because he helps. The things you may not know, they will reveal to you, and they'll make it easier for you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Ikenna, for coming through.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hopefully, if we decide to have like a big discussion with some senior engineers, we would love to have you on
Absolutely.
again.
I'll be glad to have be here
Awesome.
again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening up to and watching up to this point. I'm so grateful. I'll put all the essential links in the description. Be sure to reach out, leave a comment, subscribe, do all the nice things. And I'll catch you on another episode. Always stay curious and love.